Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to today's science session. Today we're going to be learning all about food chains. Do you know what a food chain is? Let's find out. Sources of food. Nutrition is all about food. All living things need food to survive. Food gives living things lots of energy, which they use to carry out the other life processes, like moving and growing. Green plants make their own food using sunlight, water, and air. Animals are not able to make their own food. So how do animals get their food? Have a few moments now to think about this question with someone at home. Some animals get their food from eating plants. These animals are called herbivores. Can you think of some herbivores? So can you think of any animals that get their food from eating plants? And can you think of some of the different things that they eat? Have a few moments to think about this now. Here are some examples over here of some animals which are herbivores. You might have thought of these animals, but there are many others that also like to eat plants. And here are some examples of the plants that they can eat. Some animals get their food from eating other animals, and these animals are called carnivores. Can you think of any carnivores? Can you think of any animals that get their food from eating other animals? And once you've done that, can you think of some of the different things that they could eat? So here are some examples on the left of carnivores, of animals that need to get food from eating other animals. And here are the animals that they eat. There are many other carnivores, and there are many other animals that get eaten by other animals too. Some animals get their food from eating both plants and animals. These animals are called omnivores, so they can get their food from plants or from eating other animals. Can you think of any other animals which are omnivores? Can you think of some of the different things that they could eat? Here are some examples below of some omnivores. You might have thought of some of these, but there are many others. And they eat plants and animals. And here are a few examples below. Here's a question for you to have a think about. Are humans herbivores? Do they just eat plants? Are humans carnivores? Do they just eat other animals? Or are humans omnivores? Do humans eat plants and animals? What do we actually eat? And do we all have the same? What is a food chain? A food chain shows how each animal gets its food. Food chains are one of the ways that living things depend on each other to survive. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at a woodland habitat. Who eats who? In a woodland, worms feed on dead leaves that fall from the trees. Shrews, badgers, toads, birds, and other woodland creatures feed on worms. Jays search for acorns, seeds, and insects to eat. Tawny owls swoop through the trees, hunting for shrews, mice, voles, rabbits, and small birds. So let's have a look at this woodland food chain. There are leaves on the ground that fall from the tree, and they are eaten by the worm, and the worm is eaten by the shrew, and the shrew is eaten by the tawny owl. Okay, so let's have a look at this video.
What is a food chain? All living things, including humans, animals, and plants, need energy to live. But where do they get their energy from? The answer is easy. All living things get their energy from food. Plants make their own food with the help of sunlight, air, and water. Animals and humans don't produce their own food, so they need to eat plants or other animals to get energy and survive. They are all part of a food chain. A food chain shows how plants and animals depend on each other as their source of food. For instance, a caterpillar eats plants, mice eat caterpillars, and owls eat mice. There, a perfectly simple food chain. And we can see food chains happening underwater too. Algae is eaten by small fish. Small fish are eaten by bigger fish. And bigger fish are eaten by sea lions, who are then eaten by sharks. There are lots of different food chains taking place around us, but food chains usually start with a plant and finish with a big, hungry animal. Like me.
So what is a food chain? Hopefully that video helped you answer that question. And we can see a picture here, and it tells us the arrows in a food chain mean is eaten by. So can you name which animal is eating which in the food chain below? Fantastic. So the caterpillar is eaten by the bird, is eaten by a cat. Each food chain starts with a green plant. Green plants are called producers because they produce their own food. All animals are called consumers because they consume their food by eating plants or other animals. And animals that eat other animals are called predators. The animals that they eat are called their prey. So the cat is the predator because it's going to eat the other animal, and this is the prey because this is the animal that's going to get eaten. There are food chains in all kinds of different habitats, and here are a few below. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to use these living things to draw a food chain, not on your whiteboard because we've not got whiteboards today, but on a piece of paper at home. Remember to draw the arrows to show who eats what. So you might want to draw one food chain, or you might want to draw several. So in your email on Monday, you will have received some food chain sorting cards. So I'd like you to cut them out, and then you need to spend some time arranging the cards into as many food chains as you can. Remember that there isn't just one way to do this, there are lots of correct answers. Once you've decided on a couple of food chains, I'd like you to stick them onto the template that I sent to you on Monday. So as you can see, there are 2 rows, so one row for a food chain and one row below for a food chain. And on the left it says a something habitat. So you can choose which habitat, an ocean habitat, a woodland habitat, a rainforest habitat. It's completely up to you. And then in each box you need to draw the food chain. Don't forget that each of your food chains needs to start with a green plant. And you can draw the arrow between each box, and that stands for is eaten by. So a green plant is eaten by, and then you can carry on your food chain. And that's the end of our science activity for today. Now if you wanted to really take this further, you might want to draw some of your own food chains using some of the plants and animals that aren't included on your sorting cards. If you do choose to do this, it would be fantastic if you could send me through what you find out. You might have to do some research, or you might just use what you already know. Enjoy creating your own food chains today, and I'll see you next week for the next science activity. Bye for now.